All right, there we are. Good morning. Um, I'm going to make it kind of a short one this morning because I got to get on the road and drive to flipping Dublin today. Which it is what it is. But let me see who do we have here? Looks like Cindy drew first blood this morning, and we've got fish and golf close. Larry's with us this morning, and Liberty Girl, I see you. Good morning. Uncle Steve is with us, and there you are down at the bottom, creeping in late behind the rest of the family there, Your Majesty. I see Pitt Danny's with us, and there's Miss Wilbanks. Mrs. Wilbanks. Good morning, sunshine. Love you guys. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm going to make it a short one for a couple reasons this morning. One, I got to get down the road, and two, I got something I want to talk about, but I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on it. I think we can button it up pretty quickly. So Trump is getting criticized for saying something mean or rude or being critical, however you want to put it, of the veterans again. And this one, it's stupid. So stupid. The claim is that Donald Trump said that the civilian side Presidential Medal of Freedom is much better than the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's the claim. He's being disrespectful to the veterans because he said the Medal of Freedom is better than the Medal of Honor. Anybody who takes the comments that way is being deeply dishonest, disingenuous. Let's take a peek at the way that the article is being reported. Right here. Trump veteran comments spark controversy again. Former President Donald Trump is facing backlash over his comments about veterans. Again, Trump said Thursday that the country's top civilian honor was much better than its top military honor because the service members who received the latter are in very bad shape or dead. Okay. What do you think he means? What do you think he means by that? It's better to get the Presidential Medal of Freedom than to get the Congressional Medal of Honor, because the Medal of Honor goes to soldiers that are pretty badly beat up because they've been hit so many times or they're dead. Y'all, I was an active duty service member. I was a soldier. I went to war. I did some serious shit. I did not get the Medal of Honor. You know what else I didn't get? Shipped home in a box. I'm, in fact, here to have a conversation with you. Right? So what are they trying to say, right? Speaking at an event on anti-Semitism at his Bedminster, New Jersey estate, Trump was discussing Miriam Adelson and her late husband, Sheldon Adelson, the billionaire pro-Israel GOP megadonors who set a donation record in 2020 by spending over $170 million. Trump bestowed the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Miriam Adelson in 2018 for her history of contributions to U.S. national interests and world peace. That's the highest award you can get. You know what? Let's I'll play the video.
Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest award you can get as a civilian. We gave Miriam the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest award you can get as a civilian. It's the equivalent of the Congressional Medal of Honor, but civilian version. It's actually much better because everyone gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's soldiers. They're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets, or they're dead. She gets it, and she's a healthy, beautiful woman. It's right.
So, you know, he's making a little bit of a joke there about the fact that you don't have to die to get the Presidential Medal of Freedom. In fact, almost no recipient. I would be flabbergasted if you could show me evidence that a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom was awarded that award post-mortem. But that would surprise me. I would find that surprising. But let me see if I should have thought to pull this statistic up. How many medals of honor have been awarded posthumously? Wonder if there's an easy statistic on that. Medal of Honor recipients by branch, Medal of Honor recipients by conflict. Oh, no. I apologize. I should have thought to pull that up beforehand. I bet you it can be. Oh, wait, no, here it is. Medal of Honor recipients by military branch. There we go. Total. There have been 3,465 Medals of Honor awarded total in history. That's across the Civil War, the Indian campaigns, Korean War, Spanish American War, Samoa, Philippine insurrection, Philippine outlaws, Boxer Rebellion, Mexican campaign, Haiti, Dominican Republic, World War I, Haiti 19 to 20, Nicaraguan campaign, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam, Somalia, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Inherent Resolve, which, please, 193 non-combat Medals of Honor, and that might be a whole interesting show on its own, and 9 unknowns. But of the 3,465, 618, so a little less than a quarter of them, a little less than an eighth of them were awarded posthumously. Of the Presidential Medals of Freedom, like I said, I would be amazed to learn that any of those were awarded posthumously. So he said that's the highest award you can get as a civilian. It's equivalent to the Congressional Medal of Honor. But the civilian version, it's actually much better because everyone who gets the Medal of Honor, they're soldiers. They're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets or they're dead. Okay, obviously, I get it. If you cut it off right there, you say, but the civilian version, it's actually much better. And then ignore the rest of the sentence, right? Oh, wait a minute. But if you ignore the rest of the sentence, you're lying. It's like the very fine people thing. There were very fine people on both sides. Now, not the Nazis and the white supremacists who should be condemned totally. And, I always want to throw this one out there for the lefties that talk about the very fine people hoax. Oh, Donald Trump said there were very fine people on both sides. So I'm like, okay, and your criticism is that he's a bad person because if you ignore the rest of his commentary, where he condemns white supremacists totally, then he's saying that everybody there are very fine people. And I would like to remind you that on the opposite side, you've got BLM, you've got Antifa, and y'all don't seem to have a problem with anybody saying that those people are very fine people. Let me be very clear about this. Where you find white supremacists and Nazis in this country, they are leftists. Nazis are still the National Socialist Party. They're white supremacists, but their general core belief is socialism, a strong central government that takes all your goods and redistributes it to the masses, is the desired objective, but it's only for white people. We don't want to collect our resources and distribute to the black and brown people or what have you. It's only for the white people. Nazis are now and always have been of the left, right? But they do this little sleight of hand where they pretend like Nazis are not Marxists. And it's right there in the name. They try to do this little sleight of hand and tell you a lie. With this one, they stop. If you just stop the sentence, but the civilian version is actually much better. If you just stop there, okay, that's it. It doesn't. But the rest of that, I would love a chance to ask the mothers and fathers of those Medal of Honor recipients who were handed their son's Medal of Honor posthumously. Your parents are there to receive the award because you're not. And especially glaringly, they are there on your behalf without you. I'd love to ask them if they would have preferred a circumstance that achieved a presidential Medal of Freedom instead of a posthumous Medal of Honor. But they have to play these silly little fuck games because they have Tim Walz, who is a stolen valor. He's a criminal, right? Now, my dad, who actually is a retired sergeant major, he and I have talked about this a bit, and it's his opinion. I don't disagree, but the stolen valor thing just isn't particularly an effective angle of attack for Tim Walz, and I agree to a point, especially on the rank question. There's a big difference between the lie of, I was a staff sergeant when I got out, when in truth I was just a sergeant, right? That's a minor, that's really a meaningless distinction. But the difference between a master sergeant and a sergeant major, that is an extraordinary distinction rather. That's huge. Almost everyone that stays in for 20 years makes master sergeant. Almost no one by 20 years has made it to sergeant major. Statistically it is nearly zero. Um, I mean, Sergeant Major Lowry did 36 years active duty, and the last 14 of those was with a star in the chevrons. I mean, I let's see if I remember correctly, Dad, you were promoted to Sergeant Major in 98. And you retired while I was deployed. So 12 years with the Star, I think. 10 years with the Star. Okay. Only 10. But again, that's nearly a third of a career that was nearly double what is legally considered a full military. At 20 years, you retire with a full. Oh, one? I could have sworn I was still in high school when you. I guess that was Master. No. You know what? It was a long damn time ago. Oh God, yeah. So I'm gonna talk about that a little bit. I'll tell you the truth, guys. I'm so frustrated with with this reporting that I'm getting distracted by it. Dad said, yeah, only 10. It's half what you need to retire. That's right. Oh, like I said, Dad and I talked about it, and for Walls to lie about having been a sergeant major, which he absolutely did. He lied about that. He lied about that. But it doesn't have legs as a political attack line, largely because the majority of people don't understand that distinction. Now, I know I've got a lot of veterans who watch, and I'm obviously a vet myself, and I understand. If somebody said, "Oh yeah, I was a staff sergeant," and he was actually a sergeant, that's really not a big deal, generally speaking. But like I was saying, the difference between a master sergeant and a sergeant major, that's an astronomical difference. But it's also an astronomical difference that one just does not have any concept of unless you're either a military spouse or an actual veteran. So unfortunately, that means that particular line of attack just doesn't have the legs with the majority of the voter base. However, and this is where I think Dad and I might disagree a little bit on this one, I think that the other piece of the stolen valor question, because here's what you have to remember about Walls, is he's not just somebody who stole a little bit of valor, right? Usually when we talk about stolen valor, you're talking about a homeless guy that went and got a uniform field jacket and tore the name off of it and is sitting on the side of the road with a sign that says disabled vet, anything helps, something like that. And whenever you see the guy in the field jacket on the side of the road saying he's a disabled vet, honestly, I don't know what the chances are that it's just some schmuck that bought a jacket at a surplus store, or even stole one out of a trash can, or actually a veteran. I don't know what the chances are there. But I know it's not 100% one way or the other. But those guys, that's who you hear about with stolen valor. Those guys are telling a little white lie that's obnoxious. Sure. Walls has said repeatedly that he deployed in combat. He has stated it explicitly, and he has stated it. He's tried to do it with the weasel statements. He'll start off telling a story about, well, when I was deployed, and he was deployed to, I think it was Italy, and then he'll kind of wishy-washy, and fast forward to, and then when I was in Afghanistan, except he was never in Afghanistan while he was a soldier. He went to Afghanistan as a congressman and met some people. He never went to Afghanistan in uniform. But he likes to tell the story to lead you to believe that he served in combat. I was actually having this conversation on Sunday. Somebody else a cousin of mine was asking about the difference because there's some YouTuber, somebody who keeps saying, I'm a combat veteran, and he makes a big deal out of this being a combat veteran, and somebody called him on it, called him on not being a combat veteran. And okay, so apparently with this guy, the trick is he deployed, but he was kind of a fobbit, kind of a pogue, never left the wire, was never in an actual combat engagement, right? And guys, for those who served, you served. Love and respect and honor to you, and thank you for your service. For those of you who deployed, same thing, right? And for those of you who actually saw some combat, closed with, engaged, and destroyed the enemy, my hat's off to you, brother. That's hard work. As much fun as it is, as much as I enjoy doing it, that is hard work, and it is not for everybody. Now, among soldiers, we do kind of make a distinction there, and especially if you've been in right while we're a wartime army, if you've been in for 5, 6, 8, 10 years and you have not been to combat, people do start asking questions. People do start to wonder about why you haven't been downrange. But once you've gone, whether or not you were engaged in combat, once you've gone, then you've done it. You've done the deal. You've gone and you've deployed and you've done your combat. And I'm not going to lie. While there shouldn't be a major distinction drawn within the service generally, there is. And there is a measure of respect that is automatic. It's not unreasonable. I won't go so far as to say it's unnecessary, but there is an extra measure of respect that is afforded, and kind of awe, actually, that is afforded when you see somebody wearing that combat action badge. And I mean, I remember, before I had one, I'd see other soldiers with the cab or CIB. So there's a combat infantry badge, combat action badge. Combat infantry badges, you are an infantryman, and you went and intentionally did combat. Combat action badge is you're in an MOS. So like, I got a combat action badge because I was an intelligence operator. Not technically a frontline. Okay. I have to be careful how I say some of these things. My official job description doesn't necessarily presume that I will be actively seeking direct engagement. Yeah, I think I'm safe there. Um, but before I had my own cab, my own combat action badge, I see other people wearing it, and hey, there's a story there, right? Even if it's terrifying, it's not boring, right? And like I said, combat it's not for everybody. For me, it was a major rush. It really was. Um, and I, and that's not to say it wasn't scary. But I tell you, it sure as hell wasn't boring. And then once I was wearing a combat action badge and uniform, I noticed, and not just noticed the way that people look at you differently, but especially young soldiers. They'll come up and ask you about it sometimes, and you talk about it, right? And sometimes that talk about it is, um, Sergeant, I'm going down range. I'm going down range in 4 months, 5 months. What's it? It's my first one. What's it like? And I mean, I only did one tour, so, but once you've done your first one, you've done one, and that's part of what that action badge means. For Waltz to get up there and lie about that and use that as a talking point to sell gun control, now that is deeply disgraceful and disgusting to me. Um, and this is going to be a little abrupt, I guess, but I think I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in it there because I'm starting to wander down a rabbit hole that could take me a little too far off the beaten, and I uh, need to go put on some real shoes and get down the road. Guys, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for watching this morning. Um, we love you, and we will see you tomorrow. I did hit the end.